If your Social Security check goes up in 2026, why does it feel like your money barely moved? Or worse, feels smaller, even though the calendar flipped and the system promised a raise? Because your first Social Security check of 2026 is not just another deposit. It's the first payment that quietly resets how your retirement income behaves for the entire year. And understanding this matters more than most people realize. Because this check reflects 3 changes happening at the same time, not just one. And when people only focus on the raise, they miss the rest of the picture. So let's slow this down and walk through it clearly. Starting with the cost of living adjustment, or COLA, which exists for one simple reason. Prices go up over time, groceries cost more. Gas costs more, rent costs more, and without adjustments, people living on fixed incomes fall behind. So every January, Social Security recalculates benefits to try to keep pace. And for 2026, that adjustment is 2.8%, slightly higher than last year, close to the long-term average. And on paper, that sounds straightforward. Your benefit increases, your monthly number goes up. And technically, that part is true. If someone was receiving about $2,015 per month at the end of 2025, their gross benefit in January 2026 rises to roughly $2,071. So, when people hear about the COLA, that's the number they focus on, the higher gross amount. The raise they were told to expect, but this is where expectations begin to drift from reality. Because Social Security doesn't just change one number at a time. It adjusts the benefit, applies the payment schedule, and then applies deductions all at once. And if you only look at the raise, without looking at timing and deductions, the final deposit can feel confusing or disappointing. Which brings us to the second thing people notice: timing. Because January payments do not arrive on the same day for everyone. They never have, but the start of a new year makes people more sensitive to delays. And in January 2026, the schedule follows the same structure Social Security has used for years. Beneficiaries who started receiving payments before May 1990, including many older retirees and some people who also receive SS, are paid first, on Friday, January 2nd. While everyone else is paid later in the month based on birth dates, with payments landing on Wednesday, January 14th, for those born between the 1st and the 10th. January 21st, for those born between the 11th and the 20th. And January 28th, for those born between the 21st and the 30th. And one detail that continues to surprise people is that if you receive spousal or survivor benefits, your payment date follows the birthday of the worker whose record you're claiming on, not your own, which means two people in the same household can receive checks on different days. Or a payment can arrive later than expected simply because of how the rules are written. Not because anything went wrong, but even when the payment arrives on time. This is where the biggest emotional disconnect happens. Because the third change hits at the same moment: deductions, especially Medicare. And this is the part that makes the COLA feel smaller than it looks. Because, while your gross benefit increases by 2.8%, Medicare premiums increase too. And for most retirees, the biggest deduction is Medicare Part B, which rises to $202.90 per month in 2026, up from $185 the year before. And that increase is automatically withheld from your Social Security check if you're enrolled. So the system gives you more with one hand and takes more with the other. And when you only see the final deposit, it can feel like the raise barely mattered. So let's make this concrete. Because numbers explain this better than words. Imagine someone receiving $1,000 per month in 2025 before deductions. After the $185 Medicare Part B premium, their take-home amount was about $815. Then, in January 2026, the COLA raises that gross benefit to about $1,028. But Medicare now takes $202.90, leaving a take-home amount closer to $825. So, on paper, the benefit increased by almost $30. But the money actually received only increased by about 10. Which is why so many people say their Social Security raise doesn't feel like a raise at all. And this effect is even stronger for higher income beneficiaries, because income-related monthly adjustment amounts, known as ERMAA, can add hundreds more in Medicare premiums, with some people paying well over $600 per month for Part B alone. And while Medicare Part D premiums are usually paid separately to drug plans, any Part D IRMAA surcharge is also deducted directly from Social Security, further reducing the net payment. So when your first Social Security check of 2026 arrives and the number feels underwhelming, it isn't because money went missing, it isn't because the system made a mistake, and it isn't because the COLA didn't happen. It's because three forces hit at the same time: a higher benefit, a fixed payment schedule, and higher healthcare costs. And once you understand that interaction, the confusion starts to fade, because the system is doing exactly what it was designed to do: adjusting income while accounting for rising medical expenses. And while that doesn't always feel good, it does explain why expectations and reality often don't line up. And that understanding is the real value here. Because knowing how your first Social Security check of 2026 works allows you to plan cash flow, avoid panic, and make better decisions throughout the year. Whether that means budgeting differently, preparing for deductions, or simply recognizing that the raise you were promised did happen, even if part of it never reached your bank account. And when you understand the rules, the system feels less mysterious, less stressful, and far easier to live with as the year moves forward.